And Drew.
And just like that, it's off and running. Another brand new live edition of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Happy Thursday morning, everyone. 51 degrees as you make your way into work, into school, wherever you may be headed on this Thursday morning. Fantastic weather, fantastic day, and we have got a lot of stuff to get through this morning here on Talking Ball. The College Football Playoff Committee did some meeting yesterday. We alluded to that in yesterday's show. What came about that, we'll talk about that. It's a mess. We'll just say that. The Pro Football Hall of Fame released 122 players for nomination for the 2022 induction class. That list will be reduced to 25 semifinalists in November and then 15 in January. Who's on it right now? Urban Meyer off to an 0-2 start, relates the NFL to Alabama. And the Atlanta Braves stay hot, as do the Phillies. We'll run it down, what's ahead for the Braves, why you should pay attention to baseball next week. Got a lot of stuff to get to. But yesterday, Nick Saban feeling a little happy, feeling it yesterday.
Yeah. What has Jaleel Billingsley proven to you to see his role increased as the season's moved on?
Well, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He practices better. He's more engaged. He's more focused on what he's supposed to do, and he's having more positive performance on the field, which is what any player is supposed to do. I think that did any of you play sports? I mean, the coach is supposed to play the best players, right? And then it's up to the players to do what they're supposed to do so they get to play because they become one of the best players. So that's what he's doing now. But I don't know, maybe if you didn't play, maybe that's not something that you quite get.
Go to Aaron.
So to answer your question, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Aaron, go ahead.
Well, I'm known for, knocking on the table here. And by the way, I apologize to all the listeners and Chad and everybody. I didn't see it till yesterday after I left, but sorry about the camera. I think it's going to be okay now. I just got a little excited.
You did not realize that it
no,
fell over. I
yeah,
said
yeah.
It fell over.
No, I was just too busy laughing about, take me out to the ball game there. I think that's what we were laughing at the end of the show.
Yes.
But just having a little fun there. Sorry about the camera, everybody. But, I'm known for knock, knock, knock. Well, when Coach Saban, when you hear that rat-a-tat of with the fingers on the table, he's getting agitated. And he was ornery yesterday a little bit. I just saw the quote, so I didn't realize how ornery he was, so I watched it last night after our great speaking engagement over at Greenbrier Barbecue. Had a great crowd for Tommy Wilcox, Gary Harris, and all those guys. We appreciate them coming down. But, Coach was on edge a little bit, and I thought the most telling thing he said was his opening statement when he started talking about the spirit of the team, and they're trying to find who they are. And to me, he's challenging their manhood and their pride, and so he's wanting to see them pay attention to detail, as he likes to put it, and respect their opponent and play hard and get back to, like he said, playing to a standard. So, and that's basically to tie it in. That's what he was talking about with Jaleel, and Jaleel has, started to get back in the good graces. He played some last week and played a prominent role. I want to see his role expand because I think, honestly, he's the key to the season offensively, because I think this year he's the mismatch guy, and this offense is not what it was a year ago. And he was even asked about explosive plays, so they're trying to make more. But I think Jaleel Billingsley is a key to unlocking all of that.
That is the perception is we have gotten lucky by watching Alabama football the past couple of years and seeing the amount of explosive plays just come natural. I mean, it was like if you dialed up an explosive play, it worked. It was a touchdown. I mean, 30 points is nothing for Alabama to score in a blink of an eye. This year, though, it's not that Alabama is playing awful or playing bad. They have just come back down a little bit to, I don't want to say reality, but they've come back down just a little bit to just being a good, really good football team that will hit some explosive plays, but the explosive plays aren't going to come in the abundancy that we were used to seeing last year and even the year before. Is that fair to say?
Well, I mean, it's what I've been talking about all offseason. They weren't going to have the same kind of offense because you don't have 4 first-round picks and all 4 of them could take the ball 85 yards for a touchdown. You just don't have that. Jamison Williams has some of that capability, and we've seen John Mechie make those kind of plays. But, and then my caveat is this, that's when he was the third guy, and that's what he was last year. And you get the third corner, who's probably not as good as the first and the second, and it was easier to get behind guys. And so, he's getting extra attention this year because he's the dude. And
right.
so it allows Jamison Williams to operate. But now the game against Miami, people are paying attention to Jamison. That's why I'm talking about with Jaleel Billingsley. He's got to start taking advantage of this. He certainly did the one time he was targeted against Florida. He was wide open. But he's a guy that has wide receiver type capability at the tight end spot, which means they have to put a safety or a linebacker on you. And if I were Alabama, I would like my chances in coverage with that matchup every time. So that's what I'm saying. I think he holds the key to making some 40 and 50-yard plays because of his ability to run after the catch, his athleticism, his ability to adjust to the ball. I just think Jaleel Billingsley, to me, going forward, if we see this Jaleel Billingsley, him and Cameron Latu are going to be big because I think, of course, what defenses are going to do is they're going to try to take away Mechie and Jamison Williams. Well, now you don't have the depth at wide receiver you've had in the past, so you're going to have to, I think, incorporate the tight end into the game plan even more, and we've seen that this year, and I think it's going to continue to build.
All right, let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Spencer's with us this morning. Good morning, Spencer.
Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Drew.
Morning, brother.
So you're absolutely right, man, and I challenge any linebacker in the SEC outside of the linebackers the Georgia Bulldogs have to be able to run step for step with Billingsley or Latu.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't see it happening. But this has been great, man. I listened to Feinbaum a little bit yesterday. This is the reason I called in. I listened to Feinbaum a little bit yesterday, and all you heard on him were people calling in and the whole, and Paul loves to hear this, and he loves to antagonize this, the dynasty is over. That was the talk. Alabama's they're not the dominant force this year. Or they're beatable. They're this, they're that. I absolutely love it because this team needed to be punched in the mouth. They needed a wake-up call. They needed something to push them to be their best possible selves. And that close game against Florida was exactly what the doctor ordered, man. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well,
I don't disagree. I mean, depending on how they respond. I mean, I've said this already. There's a lot of people concerned about how they played. It is, and that's valid. But the thing that I'm watching the closest is how they respond to it, and internally the leadership among the players. And it's kind of Nick Saban was basically referencing that yesterday. Are they going to step up and have some pride? And because they've got a 2-game stretch here where both of these after Southern Mississippi, Ole Miss at home and then A&M on the road. Both are capable of beating Alabama.
But here's the thing, though. I think sometimes this is just where the spoiledness comes in. People forget and take for granted that this was a top 10 team on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Florida lost the quarterback. They lost a great tight end. But Florida Florida still had a lot of talent on that roster coming back. This was a top 10 team that Alabama went down to, played on the road in a hostile environment, and so it was a close game. That doesn't mean it's over. It just means they played a great football team last weekend.
Totally agree. Probably maybe the best offensive and defensive line they'll face all season, man. I totally agree. People just don't understand that, Alabama's not going to walk through like they did last year, outside of the Ole Miss game. Alabama's
that doesn't happen in college football every year and every week.
Well, all I'll say is this: that could be absolutely correct, but I want to see also how Florida, responds to this. They're getting a lot of pats on the back for losing a game. Are they going to take care of business at home against Tennessee, or is everybody going to be putting their head in the toilet because they're thinking, oh Lord, Tennessee just took these guys to the wire. Are they going to? I personally think that I don't know if they'll cover. I think Florida will win comfortably. But as an Alabama fan, to me, you better hope that's the case because we already know that Tennessee is not vintage. They lost to Pitt, who turned around and lost to Western Michigan.
Look, we know Miami is not a great football team right now, the Hurricanes.
They're in the toilet.
They're not a great football team. But Miami, head coach Manny Diaz did say, and he repeated it a week after the Alabama game, he repeated it 2 weeks after the Alabama game, that the Alabama hangover is a thing.
Right.
That they put so much emphasis into that Alabama game.
Oh,
they came up short. And his team didn't respond the week after, and they didn't respond against Michigan State because of the Alabama hangover. Does Florida have that Alabama hangover this week by going in the Tennessee game, putting so much into trying to beat Alabama that they're just nothing this week?
Well, and then I've also...
You beat me to the punch, Scott.
Go ahead, Spencer.
Absolutely beat me to the punch, man, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Because it is a real thing. I mean, how many teams have come out of play in Alabama in any given week and have been just dominant to their opponent the following week? I mean, it's tough. It's not easy to beat Alabama, and it's not easy to play with Alabama, and it's not easy to be healthy going into the week following Alabama. How many guys are going to be on that injury list for Florida right now?
Well, that's a great question. How healthy are the Gators? No doubt about it. Are they satisfied with where they are? The thing is, what I heard, and I believe this, we know Florida played FAU and South Florida the first two games, but they spent the whole time preparing for Alabama. So they threw everything into that game. They didn't have Anthony Richardson. I mean, that's the only thing that they didn't have that I'm sure they planned on. He hurt his hamstring. But, Emory Jones had his best game of the year because the first two games he had 4 turnovers, and everybody was talking about he was so mistake-prone. He only made one mistake against Alabama, and it was still a costly one. But still, he played one of his best games as a runner and thrower of the football. So, again, I think your points are valid, Spencer. I just want to see, too, my biggest thing right now is how does Florida respond? Do they take care of business at home against Tennessee? And then how does Alabama respond? Do they take care of Southern Mississippi? Are they crisp? And then, you're heading into, to me, the amen corner of the schedule back-to-back with Ole Miss and A&M.
All right, that was Spencer with us. All right, Jeff from the Borough now with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, is that jersey you see where Mr. Jackson got signed with the Patriots? What do you think about that?
I did not.
He signed to their practice squad. He's on their practice squad.
Nice.
So, Texans cut him right for the not right for, but I guess the last cut down, whatever the day was, they cut him, and then I guess he's been looking. I guess he's been talking to people where they're looking, but they just signed to the practice squad there. But guys, I noticed the 2022 schedule release come out for football. So does that mean at the end of October we're going to have the 2023 schedule release? That's going to be here. What's your comments on that? What the ACC network did? It's a real novel concept, guys. 2 nights in a row. One night they had the women's basketball schedule release, and the next night they had the men's basketball schedule release. What a novel concept, A novel concept, but the SEC won't do that because they don't care about hoops. Simple as that. They ain't going to do no basketball schedule. They don't know what basketball is until about March or so, about middle of March or April, when they know about that. So maybe someday they'll have a basketball schedule, but I doubt it very seriously.
Well, let's hope Kentucky can find out what basketball is like this year.
Well, they'll find out. We got plenty of players. We'll find out what it is. We like we said, we had one bad year in 30 years. I wonder how many 20-loss seasons.
One bad year in 30?
I wonder how many in 30 years. We ain't had one since Sutton. Okay, that's the first losing season we had in 30 years. This is Sutton's last year. So how many 20-loss seasons Kentucky basketball's had? 0. How many has Alabama had? Probably about 10 or 15. So let's not even go there on that. The most losses Kentucky's ever had in the season is 19. With Sutton was last year before we went on probation. So don't even go there on that. We all know what a great football program y'all got. So, but like somebody said, y'all had to go through about 5 or 6 bad coaches before y'all found one. So like I said, we didn't go through. When Rupp retired, we found a guy, his assistant, Joe B. Hall. And Joe B. Hall in 75 made him forget about Rupp. He went to Final Four and played some guy wouldn't and lost in the finals. So don't even go there on that. When the SEC cares about basketball, you all let me know when they care about who's. It'll probably be about April 1 when the season's over with. So y'all let me know on that. Y'all hang in there. See if y'all can hang with Conference USA. Y'all might be able to beat Southern Miss. Maybe y'all can hang for 2 quarters then. If y'all can play some defense, tackle somebody. Y'all hang in there, have a good weekend. See y'all.
Well, Jeff, at least they didn't almost lose to Chattanooga. That's all I'll say. And then I'll say this: how quickly you forget Billy Clyde Gillespie. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, that was a good coach. That was a good one. That was a good time.
He lasted a long time.
That was a good era in Kentucky basketball.
Yeah.
He didn't bring that name up, did he?
No, not too much.
All right. Brandon's with us next. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning.
Morning. You get to follow Jeff from the Dumbo.
I was about to say, now that we've had our Xanax moment of the show, we can kind of roll forward. I saw Michael Casagrande saying, do you have any questions you would like to ask Saban at the presser? So I responded yesterday, and I said, why don't you ask him how it feels to have teams like Oregon barely hang on and beat Fresno at home by 7, and teams like Oklahoma barely beat Nebraska. Teams like Ohio State. These teams are struggling. But nobody wants to talk about it. Not Chris Deering wanting to call people morons and clowns because they think Alabama's elite.
Now, let me ask this question. I want to ask it, Brandon. I don't mean to interrupt you. I saw that quote, but sometimes they have these parody accounts where it didn't really happen. Did he really say this, or is this one of these made-up deals?
No, it's on video on Twitter.
Okay. I'm just asking.
And I just like to ask Saban, how does it feel to know that you go into an environment that people say it's the loudest environment they've ever been to, and Florida played their butt off, and you get out with a win on the road? But you look at all these other teams, and nobody even notices that they're struggle winning over teams that are 20 times worse. I would have loved to have seen what his response to that question would have been, as pissed off as he was at the first question he got, because he was already ready to go off.
Well, Brandon, I'll just say this. If Doring's, actually said that, and I didn't look it up, but it's obvious, I guess, that he did, and I respect his work, but then what is Florida if Alabama's not elite? And I guess he's really referencing this season, but that is 8 straight ass whippings, and over Alabama over Florida. And again, I don't know that there's an elite team in college football. So if Florida has basically resigned themselves to moral victories, congratulations, but that doesn't put anything in your trophy case.
Well, I just think it's funny how the standard is. It's different for Alabama than it is to everybody else. If you don't go in there and annihilate them by 50, you're not elite. But Oregon is, and Ohio State is.
Well, Ohio State definitely not this year.
Well, but with the media, they like to think that they are. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm saying I would love for somebody to ask that question. How does it feel, Coach, to know that you're in a 2-tiered system where everybody else can struggle win, but your measuring stick is if you don't go in there and drop 40 in the first quarter and beat everybody by 35 or 40, you're no longer elite. I would love to know his response to that question if we could get somebody to ask him that.
Yeah. I'm not going to ask him. I'll set that one out.
If you did, it would be entertaining.
It would be.
It's one of those where the coach they would be like, "You better be careful."
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to ask that one.
Yeah.
His response might be, "I don't even know what you just asked me," like he said in the past because he was so pissed off. But I imagine it could be. But I just sent you that clip of Chris Doering, so you get a
I've got it ready. We'll listen to it. I've got it pulled up. We're going to listen to it coming up here after our first interview and towards the end of the first hour. So I've got it ready to go. But yeah, we've got it. He and Peter Burns asking the question: is Alabama elite? It's a good debate.
Well, I just want to know everybody to know that I learned that the SEC don't care about basketball today, so that's my lesson for the day, so roll tide.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, the SEC doesn't care about basketball because we're not like the ACC, and we don't do a schedule reveal in the middle of football season. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to talk Texas A&M. They got a showdown with Arkansas in Jerry's World on Saturday. Olin Buchanan will help us figure out, is Texas A&M still for real with a backup quarterback?
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Sitting here with Ann Adams of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Rise Real Estate. Is it a good time to sell your home, Ann?
Yes, it is. We have people relocating from all over the country.
Why should we choose Rise Real Estate?
Well, we've been selling real estate in North Alabama for 36 years and have sold more real estate than any other real estate company, period.
Do you help your customers through the entire process?
Yes, our agents are with you during the whole process from start to finish, from beginning to end.
In your relocation services, you have a whole team.
Yes, we have a dedicated relocation department helping customers move seamlessly into the area.
Ann Adams has been writing contracts for the last 36 years. She has the experience to help you list and sell your home, downsize your home, or help pick the perfect spot north of Alabama for you to build a future.
Call Ann Adams at 256-337-2625 or on the web at www.bhhsriserealestate.com.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AB.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000 square foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
Got a wreck now on Greenbrier Parkway at Greenbrier Road. No injury reported. Jordan and Sparkman reported as a no injury. Highway 20 in Red Hat in Decatur. That one may have a minor injury involved. 72 in Salty Bottom had injuries. And we got a structure fire on Grimwood just off Pulaski Pike. Are you tired of the mask and hose? Dr. Sandman has the easy-to-use, easy-to-clean Somnodent oral device. Insurance approved for snoring and sleep apnea. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Roll Tide, War Eagle, and yeah, you, the Vols fan. We got it all covered on the Tom Abraham Show.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It is your 2:30 game on CBS. Texas A&M Arkansas from Jerry's World in Arlington, Texas. We heard Sam Pittman's thought on playing this game in Jerry's World after having to play at Texas A&M last year. Would love to have had this game on the Fayetteville campus this weekend, but it is not. It is in Arlington, Texas. We've talked about how much improved Arkansas is and can they get the upset this weekend. But Texas A&M, Drew, we look at that game against Colorado in Denver, and it was an interesting game. It was a slow game for Texas A&M, but they prevailed. They got the win, but they lost Haynes King. Now they're trying to make the road without him.
Yeah, they are, and who better than to talk some A&M with us this morning. He's a longtime fixture on the beat there. He and Billy Lucci are the best in the business, and that's TexAgs.com. And it's Olin Buchanan who's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline before this big game in Jerry World on Saturday. The game really I'm looking forward to so much for this weekend, and he's already irritated Arkansas fans. I'm looking at some of his Twitter account with this. They're no longer our Kansas. They are Arkansas. But Olin is with us this morning. Olin, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You know what? Whenever I annoy people and get them that upset, that's a good day.
Yeah, I guess so. But this is a swing game for either one of these programs. I mean, we knew going into the year A&M had very high expectations. They're already going through a major quarterback injury with Haynes King out until at least probably mid-October with his foot injury. And now Arkansas kind of feeling themselves because they got a huge win over Texas, a very impressive one in Fayetteville. But your thoughts on this matchup initially and what you've seen out of Arkansas?
Well, Arkansas has looked good, probably as good as anybody. I do think that I think you have to take a step back and say, well, now how good is Texas?
Right.
Now, if Texas ends up being a really good football team, then which I don't think they are, but then you say, well, Arkansas is really good. But if Texas is overrated like Texas often is, then you wonder just how good Arkansas is. Now, there's no doubt that Arkansas is better. They were better last year. Sam Pittman has made such a big difference just from coaching smart and motivating his guys and developing something that Brett Bielema and Chad Morris really didn't do. But are they the 16th best team in the country? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They might be even better than that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, how much did we learn? I mean, Texas A&M, Haynes King was the guy. He was the guy coming in. He goes out in that Colorado game. Zach Calzada comes in. How much did we learn from Texas A&M through their first non-conference games to say, hey, they're going to come into this Arkansas game and be the team that we think they'll be?
Well, I think we've learned that they can't just assume that they're going to be good. There are offensive line issues, Now, if you listen to Jimbo Fisher, he tells you they're very correctable, and it's the old thing about 4 guys doing the right thing and 1 guy doing the wrong thing, and that's that causes everything to collapse, and that they have guys that are just aren't as good with their technique as they want them to be, and all that said, but. When are you going to put it together? When are all 5 guys going to do the same thing? When are the other guys going to get that technique down? You can't have warning track power when you get into the SEC. You've got to do it right. So I think what you've learned about Texas A&M is that they're vulnerable. Now they're really good on defense. I think that's obvious. But they're going to have to move the ball. They're going to have to run the ball, and it hasn't been. It hasn't been as successful as it was last year.
Well, and with Zach Calzada, you told us, Olin, I mean, when we spoke with you this summer, that he had as good an arm as anyone. We've talked to Brent Zverneman as well. All the A&M people we talked to you in Hoover about this, about his arm talent. Now, he got thrown into the fire unexpectedly against Colorado. He struggled a little bit. The offense had trouble putting the game away until late. He had the entire week to prepare. They win 34-0 against New Mexico. What did you see out of him that you liked, and what did you see out of him that you're still going to be needing to see improvement?
What I liked was that he will throw deep.
Yes,
doesn't hesitate, and he's got a few guys that can go get it. That he made he made the routine play, which is what he didn't do at Colorado. If he's got a guy wide open across the middle, now he still missed some. I think Jalen Weidemeyer is very frustrated that he's been open a few times and the ball Zach couldn't get him the ball, but he was more accurate on the routine plays, which I think is what they need. What he needs to do better is don't force anything. He threw an interception on the sideline when all he had to do was throw the ball away. Don't hold the ball so long. I think at least one of the sacks last week, maybe 2, was because he was just held on to the ball and held on and held on and held on. Look, the guy's not open. Get rid of it. So I think that's what those are the 2 biggest criticisms of him right now. But he did improve a lot. Of course, he played weaker competition too, so he still has a lot of improvement to do and a lot of proving to do.
You look at this series as a whole, and if I'm a Texas A&M fan, I'm a little nervous about this one because it's in Jerry's World, and for some reason, as bad as Arkansas has been over the past few years, I mean, they were really bad under Chad Morris. This game here, they always seem to play their best when it's at Jerry's World against Texas A&M.
You're right, and part of that is I think A&M, for whatever reason, has not played as well there, and maybe Arkansas's forcing that. But a couple of years ago they get up 17-0, and then I think they think it's going to be a walk in the park, and it comes down to the last Arkansas series, and Donovan Wilson got an interception. Then I think the next year it was. Arkansas looking to complete a pass and almost completed it down inside the 5 in the last minute, and it fell incomplete, so A&M won. But I think that this game means a lot to Arkansas. I mean, it means a lot to A&M too, but I think, when you've lost 9 in a row, and a lot of those games, Arkansas let A&M off the hook. I've always said the 2 guys that made Kevin Sumlin a crazy rich man were Johnny Manziel and Brett Bielema. Because Bielema always found a way to lose. Hey, I've just got all the momentum on my side in the fourth quarter. Let me go ahead and kick off to Christian Kirk. Oh, wait, he returned that for a touchdown. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. So when you see an Arkansas team coming in that is playing well, that has a sound, smart coach, and you're not playing well, A&M has not played a good game. Then you have to, of course, you're going to be concerned about that game as well. You should. That said, I think objectively, I think Texas A&M has more talent across the board. I think there's only about 5 or 6, maybe, players on Arkansas that would start for A&M.
Mm.
Well, I mean, would you disagree? I mean, Traylon Burks, Jalen Catalon, Ricky Strongberg, the linebackers.
Yeah.
I mean, A&M has, they've got, even though they're not playing well, they still have, most of their team back from the team that finished number 4 last year. So I don't think that's big of a stretch. But if you're not playing well and the other team is highly motivated, then you're vulnerable and at risk.
Well, and Olin, I wanted to ask you too about this defense. We knew going in that it was had high expectations. As you said, they've lived up to it. They have been a shutdown defense thus far. What has impressed you the most about what you've seen out of Mike Elko's unit?
Probably most out of Mike Elko is his adjustments. They've actually given up more rushing yards through 3 games against New Mexico and Colorado and Kent State than they did through 3 games last year against Vandy, Alabama, and Florida. So, but Mike has made some adjustments with his defensive ends, taking away the zone read. Running quarterbacks have given them trouble, and KJ Jefferson's a running quarterback, but they've made those adjustments, and they've given up, I think about 120 rushing yards, 89, I think it is, rushing yards in the last 6 quarters, and they've not allowed a point in 7 quarters. So, but beyond that, the secondary is playing really well. Antonio Johnson, the new starter back there, and he's really, really good. He's made a difference. Jalen Jones started as a freshman last year. He's taken that giant leap to where you can say, he's going to be, if he's not already, one of the elite cornerbacks in the SEC, and the safeties are playing well too. So the cornerbacks are playing well. Got a good defensive line. Linebackers got some room to improve.
Mm.
What did you make of Sam Pittman's comments about this game actually being played in Dallas, and that they may have to look at the contract when it's all said and done about making this a home-and-home series, not a home-and-neutral site series?
Oh, yeah. The Aggies want it to be a home-and-home. Ross Bjork's told us that they're not going to renew this contract when it's over with. Now, what happened last year was obvious. A&M was supposed to be the home team, but because of COVID, there were changes made, and they played it here. I think it was the Arkansas donor, a certain big Arkansas donor who lives in Dallas, that says, okay, now we're going to be back at this stadium because I make more money when it's at this stadium. So I don't get why. I understand that. Look, I'd want to have it home and home, and I'd rather play it at my home stadium. But it's probably your biggest donor is probably the main reason that it's not there. And as soon as the contract ends in 4 years, it's going to go back to home and home.
Yeah. And, well, Olin, let me ask you this. I know you've been studying Arkansas. They are improved. There's no doubt they were improved last year. They look like they've taken another step under Sam Pittman. How do you see the matchup? I do agree with you. I think A&M still has the better roster, but as you said, they haven't been clicking on all cylinders. How do you see it? Because Arkansas, KJ Jefferson has been a little up and down as well, but I think defensively they got a lot of veterans under Barry Odom.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And I do think that A&M is going to focus on trying to take KJ out of the running game and force him to beat you with his arm. And I think that's the same thing Arkansas is going to try to do to Zach Calzada. So then you ask yourself, well, which team is more likely to score on the other defense? And I still think that that's A&M. I don't think that's a homer pick. I think that's looking at it objectively. And I would think A&M, I would take A&M something along the lines of, 21-14. It's going to be that kind of game. But who's going to make the big mistake? Who's going to make the big play in the special teams? Because it may really come down to something like that. Because, and by the way, I don't know if Aniyah Smith is going to play or not. Jimbo Fisher told me he's day-to-day. He left the game last week, and Moose Muhammad came in and played pretty well. But, Anais might be your best player. So and he's a big factor in special teams. So if he's not there, that's another area where A&M, just one more cross to bear.
Yeah, no question about it. It's going to be a very interesting game, no doubt. Arkansas, Texas A&M, 9-game winning streak for the Aggies, but a lot of these games, have, as you heard Olin say, have gone down to the wire, no doubt about it, and this one could very well do so. We'll see. We're going to find out really how good both teams are. And my last question for you, Olin, this has been a big topic this week. It doesn't seem like there's an elite team in college football right now. Would you agree with that?
I think Alabama's elite. Now, are they like last year? No. But, how often are you going to be that good, even Alabama? Look, they're not going to collapse like LSU did after a championship. But Alabama won against the number 11 team in the country on the road.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're supposed to say Alabama sucks? And I'm not an Alabama fan by any means, but come on, let's look at things. Let's look at reality. They won on the road against the number 11 team in the country that may be underrated. And all of a sudden that's a bad thing? And Oregon might be, even though they struggled with Fresno, but now we're finding Fresno's the best team in California.
That's right.
So Oregon might be, and Georgia might be too. If you got a win over Clemson, even a struggling Clemson, that's pretty impressive. So there may be 3 elite teams. Doesn't mean some teams can't become elite. Is Ohio State going to get better? Probably. I'm not sold on Penn State because I get it. The win over Wisconsin and the win over Auburn is really impressive. But I think the win over Auburn goes back to the same thing I'm saying about Arkansas and Texas. How good are you when you've just basically punked a couple of nobodies?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Great stuff from Olin Buchanan. Olin, let everybody know to connect with you guys over at Tex Ags, and we always appreciate the time, brother.
Yeah, well, I'd appreciate everybody, especially you Arkansas fans. Check us out at TexAgs.com. That's an abbreviated version of Texas Aggies, TexAgs.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Olin Buchanan. Just learn to spell my name, OlinBuchanan. And, hey, Arkansas fans, you're not our Kansas anymore. That's a line of respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Olin. Enjoy the game, man, and we always appreciate the time.
I enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Olin Buchanan joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good stuff to say about Texas A&M and that game Saturday. Don't forget, Texas A&M, Arkansas, 2:30. It is your CBS game. And speaking of elite college football teams, is Alabama still among the elite? We'll let you listen and decide when we come back.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Bob Baumhauer and 97.7 ESPN The Zone have teamed up to bring you a huge opportunity this fall. Each week, come on down to Baumhauer's during the drive on Thursdays between 5 and 7 and register to win a Lunch Bunch gift certificate for 6 to Baumhauer's. But wait, there's more. Each weekly winner will then be placed into a drawing for Bob's tickets to the LSU-Alabama game in Tuscaloosa, complete with an invitation to Bob's exclusive pregame party at Baumhauer's tent on the Quad. Stay tuned to 97.7 ESPN The Zone for other opportunities to sign up and win Bob's tickets.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at baddaddysburgerbar.com. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Drinking coffee straight from the pot. Power move. Wearing a bathrobe to work. Power move. Switching to super fast, extra reliable internet from WOW. Power move. Switch and save with WOW internet for just $19.99 a month. It's switching season, so make a move with our end of summer flash sale. This month only, get Internet 100 with no contracts for just $19.99 a month. Plus, get a 2-year price lock and the first month free. Make the switch at wowway.com today.
Wow.
Limited to new customers with autopay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Just got a wreck at Patton and Bayless. That one's coming in with injuries. One in Athens at Jefferson and Pryor. Nobody hurt. Greenbrier Parkway and Greenbrier Road should be moved to a parking lot. Highway 20 and Red Hat in Decatur was waiting on a trooper. Jordan and Sparkman should be clearing. 72 and Salty Bottom and Gurley should be clearing. That one had an injury. Still got a structure fire. Grimwood off Pulaski Pike. Expert Heart Care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Hi, welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And we mentioned going to break, is Alabama among the elite teams in college football still? Well, Peter Burns and Chris Doring on the SEC Network got into a little bit of a discussion on this. You take a listen.
But the idea that anybody has the nerve to pick that they're going to lose a ball game, like, they are not going undefeated this year, PB. I can promise you that.
It's also the nerve to think that this team is not good or not great and not elite, because you know what elite teams do? They go on and they do not have false starts, right?
You can't celebrate a team being elite 3 games in.
When was the last time that Alabama came out flat? Tell me the last time in the last 2 years that Alabama has come out flat.
They came out of the first quarter flat because they gave up that 18-point lead that they had when they were up 21-3.
You just made my point. They were up 18 in a hostile environment.
Do we play 15-minute games in college football now?
Yeah. Well, I guess what? What was the record? Who won that game?
That's fine. They're 3-0 right now. They're going to finish the season at maybe 10-2.
Don't say something stupid that you're going to regret, because then this whole tell the truth about media ripping Alabama. You may want Alabama, right? The whole world wants Alabama to lose.
I love Alabama.
Okay?
I love Coach Saban. I love what he's built there. But the idea that this group right now is as unbeatable as last year's team was is completely false.
You know what it is? You need Alabama. You need Alabama to be the boogeyman. You need Alabama, like, it's kind of like few good men. You need them on that wall right now, right?
I love
Colonel
Alabama
Jessup,
doing that.
because you want a bad person. But guess what? This team is absolutely elite, and I'm not quite sure.
Elite?
I know.
Hold on. No. We're not going to gloss over. You think this team is elite? You're a clown if you think this team is elite. Tell me how they're elite, please.
Do you think that was an A game? Do you think that was an A game for Alabama?
I don't think it was an A game,
no. Okay, so you're saying there's room to
they're
improve.
elite? Are
Hold
they
on.
elite?
Is there room to improve?
Point out where they're elite. You just said they were elite. Tell me where they're elite. What
I think that
positions are
they're
they
elite in the fact that Bryce Young.
Does an elite team get held for under 100 yards rushing?
An elite team?
Does an elite team get
on
run
a B
for
game?
250 yards right up the middle of
you
their
mean
defense?
to tell me for Alabama right now at this point, if you're saying that wasn't their A game, so a B team, their B effort for Alabama is to go into the swamp and still win that game, having that bad of a performance?
They played. They did what they needed to do to win the football game, but they are not infallible.
Well, I got two things to say. 2019, Alabama, they weren't elite. They didn't go to the college football playoff, but they won a game at South Carolina without rushing for 100 yards. Okay, and they won it 47-23. That team did not end up being elite, but on the other side of the coin, last year that team was elite. They were 13-0 in the national champs. They only had one game against Florida in the SEC championship game where they didn't win by 10+ points. But guess what? He's saying, does an elite team give up 250 yards? Yes. So Ole Miss rushed for 268 yards on Alabama last year. Most of it right up the middle. Okay, and Alabama gave up 49 points in that game in regulation, and yet they still were an elite football team. Is this team elite right now? No.
Right.
But it's going to depend on how they develop going forward. They're still better than Florida, and they still own Florida's ass because they beat them eight times in a row. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, it's 8. 8 in a row. Ask Tim Tebow because he was the first. But again, they've so I do think that they're better than Florida. I think if they played Florida again in the swamp, they would win by double digits because I think they took Florida's best shot. But again, I do think that a lot of people want to try to find holes with this Alabama team, and they have some. And I've freely already admitted on the show that when they go to College Station, A&M's going to have at least a puncher's chance. Right. And I think next week Ole Miss is going to have a chance as well because I don't think Ole Miss is an elite team either, but I think they have an elite offense and they have a chance to score a lot of points. So, but Ole Miss has not faced any team remotely close to Alabama. And I mean, look, I understand Tulane almost beat Oklahoma, but how good is that Oklahoma team? Nebraska, who lost to Illinois, and Illinois has already fallen on their face.
Right.
I mean, come on. I don't know how good this Oklahoma team is. Someone I trust implicitly says they're very average. He said they've got to improve a lot. So, again, we make all these assumptions. That's why I'm fascinated with this Arkansas-Texas A&M game. And Olin brought up some of the points, like how good is Texas?
Now, we asked that question earlier in the week. How good is Texas?
I don't think they're very good. I agree with Olin. But
so, I mean, you can look at it that Arkansas beat the name Texas, which is impressive because the name Texas does carry a little bit of weight, but the Texas program to date maybe doesn't carry as much weight with the win as it would in the past.
But I think the A&M defense has looked elite, but their offense has looked pedestrian. So I'm anxious to see. And then Calzada is a young quarterback. Barry Odom is a veteran defensive coordinator with a veteran defense. Let's see. And this defense will be the best that A&M has faced. Better. I mean, look, this Colorado team, we didn't mention that. But Colorado lost 30-0 to Minnesota last week. Okay.
That's not good. I mean, we've seen Minnesota is an average football team. Yeah. But it all goes back to what we've been saying for the last 2 weeks. And Olin Buchanan just reiterated what we have been talking about, that you look at college football and there is not I don't want to say dominant team right now, but there is not a complete football team in college football right now. We talk about how good Georgia is, that Georgia may be the best team right now, but Georgia's not complete on offense and defense. They don't have everything going all right now. Alabama right now does not have a complete football team. Ohio State does not have a complete football team. Clemson does not have a complete football team. There is not a team inside the top 25 that has a complete football team in college football top to bottom. But at the same time, too, Drew, it's only, week 3, week 4? Are they supposed to be complete at this time?
No, nobody is. And so, to me, you don't want to peak too early. I've heard that. My father gave me that old adage years ago. Peaking too early, and then you end up, falling short.
Because you've reached your ceiling
The
already.
2005 Alabama team did that when they beat the Gators because they were never able to perform. And, of course, part of it was who they lost. They lost a Heisman Trophy candidate in Tyrone Prothro. But still, I've seen football teams and basketball teams peak too early, and you're not playing your best football or basketball when you need to. So, again, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that they struggle with Florida. I think, and I want to see, as much as everybody's asking, how's Alabama going to respond? And I've asked that, how are they going to look against Southern Miss? How are they going to respond against their two biggest tests of the season, Ole Miss and Texas A&M? Well, how is Florida going to respond? Are they going to go out and lay a turd and let Tennessee stay with them? Or are they going to take care of business and beat the Vols soundly like they should? Because I don't think Tennessee's very good. I think Tennessee's got a pretty decent offense and a poor defense.
Well, what is Emory Jones going to look like this week at quarterback?
Right.
Did he have that not a Steven Garcia performance, but did he
perform well against this defense, okay?
Yes.
They should be able to – they better run – okay, this is all I'll say. They better rush for 300 yards on Tennessee since they keep making such a big deal out of rushing for 245 against Alabama. Because, there's one thing I do know. Tennessee is not Alabama personnel-wise on defense.
No.
So they ought to shred this bunch. Let's see where Florida's head's at. Let's see if Mullen's wearing some kind of mask or something, or if he's got his team ready to play. Let's see what's going on because he's already played the Dennis Erickson. Well, I hope we play these guys again. Dennis Erickson said that, never got another opportunity after getting eviscerated because their program was never the same again. So I'm just saying, let's see how Florida responds too, because if Florida responds in the right way, it's what Olin just said. They may be underrated, so we will see.
All right, hour on is just about done. We've had a lot of fun this morning. 256-576-4977. If you want to get in on the program to kick off hour number 2, we welcome your phone calls. When we kick off hour 2, we got to talk some college football playoff style. Oh, boy, it is a jumbled mess right now when you're talking the college football playoffs. We got to talk some baseball. We got to talk Pro Football Hall of Fame. We got to mention Urban Meyer. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2. We'll kick all that off next. 256-576-4977.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Deb's constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating kept giving her grief. She talked to her doctor to get some relief. Turns out Deb had irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, which was a start. Saying yes to Linzess helped her do her part.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it steroids should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck at Patton and Bayless. That one's coming in with injuries. One in Athens at Jefferson and Pryor. Nobody hurt. Greenbrier Parkway and Greenbrier Road should be moved to a parking lot. Highway 20 and Red Hat in Decatur was waiting on a trooper. Jordan and Sparkman should be clearing. 72 and Salty Bottom and Gurley should be clearing. That one had an injury. Still got a structure fire. Grimwood off Pulaski Pike. Expert Heart Care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A beautiful Thursday afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 60s and lower 70s, significantly below where we should be this time of year, but it comes with plenty of sunshine, low humidity, and not a single opportunity for rain. We're going to be cool as we head into the overnight, temperatures dropping into the upper 40s and lower 50s. Friday is essentially going to be a repeat. It is going to be a fantastic evening for Friday night football. Mostly sunny skies during the afternoon, temperatures climbing into the lower 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
NFL Thursday night, the Texans at home against the Panthers. Rookie Davis Mills will start for Houston in place of an injured Tyrod Taylor. The Texans an 8-point underdog at home, the over-under 43. The latest odds for NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald, the current favorite, plus 650. Myles Garrett at plus 700. Chandler Jones at plus 1,000. TJ Watt at plus 1,100. And Devin White and Nick Bosa each at plus 1,600. The South Point 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kyle Larson, the odds-on favorite, plus 290. Followed by Kyle Busch at plus 600. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex each at plus 800. Joey Logano at plus 1,000.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Scott and Drew.
And just like that, hour number 2 of Talking Ball is underway. 52 degrees this morning as you make your way into work, into school. Yes, the sun is shining, but it is a crisp, cool fall day here in the Tennessee Valley. And we've got a lot to talk about in hour number 2. We need to talk about the college football playoffs, the Braves, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Urban Meyer, all that and more, plus your phone calls. 256-576-4977. And that is where we go next to the phone lines. Josh joining us right out of the gates to kick off hour number 2. Good morning, Josh.
Morning. How are y'all doing?
Doing well, Josh.
Man, I was just wanting to call in because, I've been a diehard Bama fan since I was, little, man. But all this junk with the Florida game, I get, you know what I mean? It was a terrible game defensive-wise, you know what I mean? Our guys missed tackles, whatever. But when guys are trying to come on here and say we're not an elite program, come on, man. We're allowed to have a bad game, for one. You know, it's how we respond. I agree with that. But everybody's so quick to try and write us off. And what happens every time they try and write us off? You know what I mean? We end up coming back 10 times stronger.
I think they want to write Alabama off simply because they're tired of writing Alabama in. Really, I just think I think that's what they're hoping. not just to bring the program down, but it's back when Florida State was ranked, inside the top 10 or top 5 for how many straight years. Everybody was trying to write the Florida State Seminoles off and trying to just constantly cheer when they lose. Alabama's in that same boat now.
Well, I don't even know that they cheered as loudly when they lost as they do with Alabama.
No, because Alabama has taken it to the next
level.
level.
Coach Bowden was a much more likable character than Nick Saban is, because Nick Saban's not yet. He especially when he starts yelling at the media yesterday about Jaleel Billingsley and playing to a standard and playing and doing what you're supposed to do. But he talks to his team through the media. That's the way he is. That's just, and again, you reflect your head coach. And I think the thing that makes Coach Saban the best there is he holds everyone accountable. So that's one thing. If I'm an Alabama fan, I know there's concerns. I know there's concerns about Freddie Roach. There's concerns about Pete Golding. But he's going to hold all those guys accountable. I still think Alabama is going to get better. It just is how much better are they going to get? And is it going to be good enough? And that's one of the fascinating things that you're going to get from watching this season. I want to see which fork in the road both Alabama and Florida take. Doring seems to think that Alabama is going to be a 2-loss team. Well, if they are, the Gators are losing 4. Yes. That's what I just said. They're losing 4. Okay? So you better get ready to go to some toilet bowl.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with that, man. I don't think we're going to lose as much as people think we are. I think we're going to come back strong. Our team's strong. We got to get some things tightened up on defense is, I think, our biggest thing right now. But I think once we get some things tightened up on defense, we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And if Alabama loses 2 games,
they lost 2 games 2 years ago.
Still get into the SEC championship if you lose 2 games, possibly, because I mean that's possible. And you still could get to the playoffs, still could get to the national championship. I mean, 2 games right now in the state of college football this year, losing 2 games. Who knows? Because there's not that dominant team.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't see us losing that many games, honestly. I mean, I think Ole Miss will put up a fight with us like they always do. And it's really just how our defense, I think, responds. I mean, I'm not even a huge fan of Pete Golding, don't get me wrong, but the game the other night, your last Saturday with Florida, that wasn't even on Pete Golding. That even has to come to the players. I mean, the players weren't playing to the standard that they're supposed to play, and they got punched in the mouth. And I want to see how they react. You know what I mean? Come out and play Bama football. You know what I mean? And I think Saban's going to get them under wraps. I'm just hearing him yesterday. He's fired up. He hates hearing all the crap that, with the media and how they're, writing him off and then, asking dumb questions. That's one thing I love about Saban. He's real. He's not afraid to put what is on his mind. And he cares about his players, and he cares about his players' future. I mean, it's not just about winning football. I mean, of course, he loves winning football, but if a player's not playing up to the standards, he'll put him on the bench. You know what I mean? And I don't see too many coaches doing things like that these days. But I don't know. I'm a huge Bama fan, man. I love Bama football. I want to see I want to see them answer, and I want to see our defense get back on track. That's for sure. But, I mean, we can't miss tackles like we did against Florida. I mean, that's just bottom line. I mean, we gave Florida so many points by just not tackling and not getting our assignments, Get your heads together. I know Saban's good about getting guys back up and getting them where they need to be, and I'm not worried about it. I'm tired of hearing people say we're not elite. If we're not elite, why do we have 18 national championships? You know what I mean? Why are we constantly in the playoffs for the past, 7-8 years?
Yeah, I mean,
we're in a elite program.
Well, and Alabama did put together one elite quarter,
but
they just didn't put together a complete football game, and that's what everybody's going to be looking for.
Let's stay on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Let's move on. B. Rich with us this morning. Good morning, B. Rich.
Good morning, fellas. Drew, you just tapped into the golden secret right there. Were we elite in the first quarter? Because we looked pretty damn elite in the first quarter when it was 21-3. And I didn't see a bunch of message boards on fire, and I didn't see a bunch of people losing their mind. And that's the kind of standard that Nick talks about. And I thought the team looked great. And the fact that Florida was able to get back into it tells me a couple things. They fought hard at home. This Alabama team is still a little young. They're still trying to find their identity. They're learning how to play 4 quarters. And the fact that Nick is just juiced up this week and sending a message and fiery and feisty and just straight pissed off tells me he knows that the stretch run is coming up that you tapped into, Drew. You said Ole Miss and Texas A&M, I think all the questions will be answered. We will know exactly what type of team this is, if this is a championship caliber team. And he knows it's important to get them ready for the stretch run right here and see what we got. And, we'll find out if the leadership can step up. People should really, really, when they're watching this team, should make them really appreciate what we had last year because we had so much upper-class leadership. And I think they're still finding that. There's potential out there, but they got to do it, and it takes time to gel. And, I couldn't have been more proud for those guys to go down to the swamp and pull that out. It was a tough environment. They, in the past, I look back on the 18-19 team, probably would have lost that game, but they were able to find a way to win it. And I'm not jumping the gun. I'm not getting panicked. I'm not, I can tell you right now that clip of Doring should be on loop in the weight room, around the facility. I mean, Nick's the master motivator, so he's going to find a way to spin this the way he wants to spin it, and that they'll respond. And if they don't, then we know what we got. So I appreciate you guys letting me jump on here and just blow some steam off. And,
no doubt, man.
We'll get after it. Y'all take care, fellas.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is overreaction. Yep. And a lot of it is the fact that right now, and I think you're right, though, it is a crossroads really for everybody, because if Florida comes out and looks awful against Tennessee, then, maybe that they just played their best game against Alabama and that was their best shot, and that's all as good as Florida's going to be this year. If they come out and dominate Tennessee, then, okay, maybe this Florida team, like Olin Buchanan said, they're underrated. If Alabama comes out, what if Alabama comes out and struggles like they did against Mercer for the first few offensive series? What do we take away from Alabama then?
Well, I mean, if they're struggling with Southern Miss, it's alarming. I mean, that's all you can say. I mean, this is a Southern Miss team that's already lost to two teams in this state that, combined couldn't beat Alabama.
Right.
I'm talking about South Alabama, no disrespect. But they're a building program, and Troy under Chip Lindsey, the same situation. They're trying to build their program back up, and both of them solidly whipped Southern Mississippi. So Alabama needs to basically needs to eviscerate the Golden Eagles, and I think they will. Do I think they'll cover 44 points? Probably not. Could they? Potentially, yes, if they get a shutout defensively and if they really execute well offensively and are hitting on all cylinders. I mean, Alabama could score in the 56 points, against the Golden Eagles. But we'll see. I mean, if they handle business, that's what you want to. That will be getting things back on track.
Okay, what would be some red flags then this weekend if you're watching the game? Is it the offensive line? Is it the defensive line?
It always starts up front. Offensive and defensive lines need to dominate. They need to dominate in the trenches. They need to stop the run. They need to make Southern Miss, one-dimensional. Make it very difficult for them to move the ball. And then, offensively, it's about rushing the football, getting the timing down, whether Brian Robinson's plays a heavy role or not, because he's a little bit banged up with Bobby Jace McClellan. You'll probably see much more Trey Sanders. You may see some Roydell Williams. So whoever's in there, and they ought to be hungry. Trey didn't even get on the field last week, so he ought to be chomping at the bit to prove himself. Same way with Roydell Williams. Hold on to the football. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that's what you got to see. You're going to give some guys that are hungry a chance to perform. Jaleel Billingsley, hopefully going to be a bigger part of the offense against Southern Mississippi. Cameron Latou. So, and then keep Bryce Young healthy, because that's paramount to the entirety of the season. Basically it all comes down to a sense of urgency, and that's what you want to see from Alabama.
All right, the College Football Playoff Committee met yesterday in Dallas. And, boy, oh boy, if we thought getting to a 12-team playoff was going to be easy, we still may get there. It still may be 12 teams. But the road traveled to get there is not as straight and fast as we thought it was going to be. Yesterday, the playoff committee, the 10 conference commissioners and Notre Dame's athletic director, Jack Swarbrick, they were unable to come to a consensus on a proposed 12-team format because the SEC and Notre Dame were not interested in an 8-team playoff that had just automatic qualifiers and 2 at-large bids. They were not interested in that. The group of 5, they were not interested in having this 12-team playoff with just automatic qualifiers as well because they want a piece of the pie. So basically next week when they come to Chicago, there's going to be more discussions on this because they couldn't come to a unanimous decision yesterday, and it got pretty crazy along the lines. Greg Sankey basically said that he made some comments the other day, and it's interesting right now, to say the least.
Well, I mean, it's still a developing situation. It's going to be something that's got to be negotiated, and it was never going to be. I don't when everybody leaked out that there was going to be likely a plan for a 12-team playoff. I think once Oklahoma and Texas joined the SEC, that kind of changed things, and I think it was going to make it more complicated. Because these other conferences are having to reconfigure and they're worried about their long-term futures. So it was going to halt things somewhat. So the good thing that you have, though, is you have this contract for several more years with the Final Four. I think in this the Final Four of football, basically. The college football playoff, I think they've gotten it right so far. They were getting it right in the BCS. It's just everybody got pissed off because the SEC had the 2 best teams by far that year, and people couldn't accept it because they're stupid and they wouldn't know football if it drilled them right between the eyes because they don't understand the sport and they're jealous. And so and the thing is, their grand plan of, we're going to get rid of the BCS, we'll show them, didn't work because by 2017 you already had an all-SEC final again. And so once again they're like, well, we'll just keep adding. We're just going to keep adding and trying to get some of our teams in there even though we're going to lose 55-0.
Well, the SEC is being a major player in this right now. Automatic bids for as many as 6 conferences and 2 at-large spots does not work for the SEC, says Greg Sankey. Sankey went on to say yesterday that any format that decreases the number of at-large bids from the current 4, it will be difficult for the SEC to support. And everybody has said, well, right now there are 4 at-large bids to the college football playoffs. Whether, the SEC champion is not an automatic qualifier, we just assume they'll make it because they're the SEC.
Right.
There are 4 at-large bids right now. Right now, it looks like the discussion is either going to be 8 teams or 12 teams, and 8 may lead the way. We may end up with 12, but right now, Bill Hancock said, hey, there's a possibility we could get out of this at 2024. Now, we could see this as coming yesterday. We could see this come as soon as 2024. Right now, there are split. A lot of the conferences want Fox to get involved with the college football playoff, the broadcast rights, because they say it'll increase college football's brand.
Yeah, right.
And so right now there are conferences that want ESPN to have the rights. There are some that want Fox to split it up so that ESPN does the national championship and the semifinals. Fox does the early round games. Right, folks, they are so split right now. College football is split. We'll all meet in the middle eventually, but it's going to take a little bit before we get there. So this is not something that is going to be right there. Urban Meyer, this is interesting, Drew. Urban Meyer told Vic Fangio over the weekend on Sunday that playing in the NFL is like playing Alabama every week.
which means he's calling the pharmacist for the nerve meds.
Does that indicate that we may see Urban Meyer back in college football soon? Urban Meyer already relating to the fact that the NFL is like playing Alabama every week.
Well, we'll see. I don't know that I've never really believed Urban was going to be successful long term in pro football. I think he's a college coach. I think Nick Saban and the way he coaches definitely adapts to the NFL better. I know Saban only stayed in the NFL with the Dolphins for 2 years, but people forget he had a 9-7 first year, got a quarterback hurt the second, and people want to talk about how they weren't very good, but anybody that loses their starting quarterback, it was going to struggle. We're going to see that after what happened in week 2 when all these starters went out. And some of them will be long-term. Tua could be long-term. But again, I just think that it's one of those things where Nick Saban, it got into Urban Meyer's head when he was in the SEC. He left, and then Urban at Ohio State had trouble feeding the beast, and so he bowed out. And now he's trying the ultimate challenge of the National Football League. Certainly, I don't think. I was joking earlier that could he pull a Lou Holtz and bail out early. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll coach the team this year. I'm anxious to see, though, if they go 2-14, 1-15, or whatnot, if he does decide to bail out after 1 year. And if he does, of course, USC will be all over him, trying to get him to come back to the college game like Bobby Petrino did when he fell on his face. And he didn't make it through a full year with the Falcons. He quit. So I don't think Urban will do that. My gut tells me he won't. What's going to be big for me is how much better does Jacksonville get? Do they start being competitive? Do they start winning a few games? And if they do, then I think Urban will stay the course. But if this is a historically bad season, Urban has never lost like that before. I'll be interested to see how he reacts.
All right. Speaking of college football, we do need to take a break because we need to take a break. And coming up to close out the hour, we will talk Arkansas and Texas A&M, but we need to get a break in. When we come back, we're going to talk Pro Football Hall of Fame and Braves baseball as well, because they threw 122 names out there. Alabama and Auburn represented in the early nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Who's on the list? We'll run it down for you when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Ann Adams. Ann, I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th Annual Harris Poll Equitrend as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. Great companies in Huntsville, Alabama, winning awards is what we want. Is it a great time to list your home?
Yes, it is. The inventory is low and the market is heating up.
And I understand you're also looking for agents.
I am. We are so busy, Wes, we need agents to keep up with the demand.
Ann Adams and Rise Real Estate has been doing business in North Alabama for the last 35 years. If you want to do business with someone you can trust, she has been writing contracts since she was 9 years old. Call Ann today at 256-337-2625.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the end zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the end zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hi everybody, Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
Got a new wreck in Decatur now, 6th Avenue and Lee. That one's got about 3 vehicles involved. I don't think there's injuries there. Patton Road and Bayless did report with injuries, and they were trying to clear a wreck in Athens at Jefferson and Pryor. May still be working with that one. And we got a structure fire on Grimwood off Pulaski Pike. We've had fire equipment there all morning. You get 3 pieces of the crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
And now, another out-of-context moment from the Tom Abraham Show that sounds dirty.
I was actually trained as a plumber, so I know my way around a pipe here and there.
Stay tuned for more from Tom on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
All right, 8:28 on a Thursday morning. Don't forget, coming up Saturday from 12:30 to 3:30, Drew and I will be at University Kia. And we want to see you there at University Kia because we're going to give you a chance to go to the Alabama-Ole Miss game. All you have to do is drop by University Kia, fill out a little slip, put it in the box, and you are registered for a pair of tickets to go see Alabama-Ole Miss. That's all you got to do is come out to University Kia from 12:30 to 3:30 on Saturday. Thanks to our good friend Bob Baumhauer at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. They help make this possible. These are Bob Baumhauer's tickets that we are giving away on Saturday from 12:30 to 3:30. Head on out to University Kia. All you got to do is stop out there. It takes 30 seconds. Take a look at the Kias while you're there, but you don't have to buy one. You can buy one if you want to. Arthur Seaton would be happy. But come on out to University Kia, 12:30 to 3:30. Win a pair of Alabama-Ole Miss tickets.
Hey, no pressure to all the listeners out there, but hey, we've been told while we're at University Kia, they always sell at least 5 vehicles, so they're going to have to sell 5 cars. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good for 5.
And
we just want
maybe
people
some
to come
Alabama
out.
Ole Miss tickets.
Yeah, these are free tickets to Alabama-Ole Miss.
Unbeaten teams. Yes, I'm calling the Southern Miss game a win already. I'm rat poisoning it, but they will be. If not, everybody's fired. That's when you can fire everybody.
That's when you could just say, Pete Golding, collect your check.
And that's when you can say Nick Saban's retiring, because it's not going to happen.
Well, if he does retire, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Any Hall of Fame ever out there will be Nick Saban.
Yes.
And the Pro Football Hall of Fame released their modern era nominees for the class of 2022. There's a guy that played about, I'm going to say, maybe 4 miles from here that is on the initial list, and that is former Alabama A&M standout, Indianapolis Colts standout Robert Mathis made the list this year.
Yeah, one of the best pass rushers of his era and of all time. Robert Mathis, a Super Bowl champion, and a guy that played a long, long time and was a wrecking ball at Alabama A&M, and certainly translated that into extended success for the Indianapolis Colts.
He's on that list. For another Alabama native is on that list. DeMarcus Ware is on that list. Played at Troy.
Yes, great player.
He's on there. Now, if you looked along the defensive side of the ball, Cornelius Bennett, his name lands on the list.
That's another Alabama native. He's from Inslee High School.
Yep, and Takeo Spikes, former Auburn Tiger, is on that list. If you there are, in case you're wondering, there are 65 offensive players, 46 defensive players, 11 special team players on the list right now. Such names as I bring this up only because we mention his name all the time, and that is because if Georgia fans want to watch the last time that they've won anything, they got to put the VHS tape in. That's Herschel Walker.
Hey, this is great. You know what I'm saying? I got to bring up this story. Tommy Wilcox, as we said, was a speaker last night for the North Alabama Tide fans group. Great player, great person. He came on our show yesterday, and he was asked this question by our great friend Freddie Kirby: who's the best player you ever played against? And he said he named two of them. He said Bo Jackson and Herschel, because he played against Bo at Auburn in Bo's freshman year. Tommy was a senior. And then we know that because, because Bo, that's right, because Bo was a freshman. That's right, because Bo was at Auburn from 82 to 85. And so, and Bo won that game that year, the Bo over the top game. That was Tommy Wilcox' senior year. But he talked about how Bo was a great player, but then he talked about Herschel. And he talked about having to play against Herschel in the USFL. Because he was with the Arizona Wranglers, Tommy was, and was Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Herschel was with the New Jersey Generals. He said he played against Herschel, had 18 tackles in the game, but said basically he had grass from his neck all the way down because of Herschel dragging him around because he was tackling him all day long. But Herschel was just an unbelievable athlete. So he brought up the great Herschel Walker, which should please all the Georgia fans that can dust things off.
So he's on the list, as is I'm kind of going down the list right now. There's so many names on here. I'm just trying to pick out a few that is on here. Bob Sanders, Troy Vincent, Adrian Wilson, Darren Woodson, Rodney Harrison is on there, Leroy Butler, Teddy Bruschi, Patrick Willis, former Ole Miss standout, is on the list. Richard Seymour, Neil Smith, Greg Townsend, Vince Wilfork from the Tennessee Titans is on there.
No, Wilfork is that's actually a Patriot.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
the nose guy. Yeah.
I was thinking that he that he did play. All right, so that is your Pro Football Hall of Fame nominee list. I
thought Troy Vincent was already in for some reason. I know he's the president of the Players Association.
Yeah, he is not in there.
I thought he had already made it.
Nope, he is He is not in there yet. Just kind of going over some of the names, seeing if there's any more former Alabama and Auburn guys that are on the list, and not seeing any more on there as well. So, Sean Alexander, missed that one. How did I miss that one? Sean Alexander is on the list.
And well-deserved. He should be. I mean, he was one of the best running backs of his era. He got Seattle to the Super Bowl for the first time ever, was MVP that year. He and Walter Jones were quite a combination, and Sean most definitely is at least a borderline Hall of Famer.
All right, your quarterbacks, Steve McNair, Donovan McNabb, Jeff Garcia, Boomer Esiason.
Hey, we talked to Jeff Garcia at the Super Bowl.
Jake
Body armor.
We did. Jake Delhomme and Randall Cunningham. Those are the quarterbacks.
Well, I love Daylight Come and you got a Delhomme, but I wouldn't have nominated him for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these names. Woo!
And trust me, that's one of the great nicknames. That's one of Chris Berman's best ones. Daylight Come and you got a Delhomme. Instead of go home.
Yes. All right, 256-576-4977. Get in on the show this morning if you so want to. We've been talking a lot about Alabama and not being an elite team right now. Those were the words from Chris Doering and Peter Burns. Alabama is not an elite football team right now. So,
Peter Burns was arguing the other point.
Yes, he was saying they are. Chris Doering was saying you're a clown if you think Alabama is elite. So,
what does that make Florida? That's all I'll say. If you're going to make a bold statement like that, what does that make the Gators?
I don't know. I mean, are we clowns to think that anybody is elite right now in college football?
I don't think so. The closest team to elite is, people think hell's freezing over here, but it's ironic I use the word freeze, but that Georgia is.
Well, like I said, though, Georgia has issues as well.
But even I think Georgia is not a finished product. So I think maybe they're playing the best football though.
We looked at that Week 1 matchup, and we put a lot of stock in that Week 1 matchup with Clemson. A lot of stock in that Week 1 matchup. Because it's Clemson. It's Dabo Swinney. Clemson has been one of the premier teams in college football. That was a monster heavyweight opener. And I'm not saying Clemson is a bad football team, but in the end of it, are we going to look at that Georgia-Clemson matchup? Clemson is still undefeated, but they are barely – they struggled against Georgia Tech this past weekend. They're a mess offensively. The hype surrounding that game – now, I know Florida State went in a completely different direction.
Oh, you're talking about somebody that
but
really
I'm saying, though, was the talk about that matchup being so great, was that equally like the Alabama-Florida State game that year where the hype was so great that, Alabama went on to have great things, but, Clemson, they're not a great football team. Did we overhype up that first matchup between Georgia and Clemson? We don't know how good Georgia really is.
Well, probably so. That's why we've always talked about not having rankings until maybe October the 1st. But you want to kind of try to find out about your team and how good they truly are. But again, Clemson's schedule still is favorable for them to run the table. We'll see if they do because they nearly lost to Georgia Tech, who lost to Northern Illinois at home. Northern Illinois lost to the Michiganders by 60.
The ACC is not helping Clemson at all.
By the way, I'm going to make this point to Jeff from the Dumbo, okay? The reason the ACC network is releasing basketball schedules right now, Jeff, is they S-U-C-K at football. Every one of them right now is not playing well. Clemson is not even close to an elite team right now. They all stink, okay? That's why they're deflecting and they don't want to talk about football. Even with Louisville taking out the Gus Bus, they're not any good. That's why they're releasing basketball schedules right now and talking basketball. The SEC will do a basketball special. They are very excited about basketball, but football is elite. Football is the best league in America.
Yeah, the ACC network is trying to get the fans
so Jeff,
to get football
enjoy
off their
the ride right now. Kentucky is still undefeated. Enjoy it while you can. They did beat Chattanooga by 5. But they've got to get a lot better. But certainly they're off to a good start. And they'll play Florida in a couple of weeks, and we'll see truly how good Kentucky is.
How much should they beat?
Because Florida seems to be the boogeyman every time they play them.
How much should Kentucky beat South Carolina by this week? What's your expectations on that one?
17. Comfortable win. And if it's a struggle win, don't even play Florida. But I don't think it will be. I think Stoops and the boys are taking care of business.
All right. Hey, the Atlanta
I think
Braves.
they were flat last week.
The Atlanta Braves win yesterday. Philadelphia Phillies win yesterday. So the lead is 3 games. The Braves will try to go for the sweep over the Arizona Diamondbacks today. They will travel to San Diego tomorrow. They got to play a completion game, then play a full game tomorrow against San Diego. They got that 4-game series then in San Diego. Then they turn around, have a day off. Next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Drew, they play the Philadelphia Phillies at home. That could be the NL East race right there. That's why you need to pay attention to baseball next week if you're a Braves fan.
And the Braves need to finish it off today. They're in Arizona. Arizona's terrible.
Yes.
They need to, now that was the wackest thing I've ever seen. Like, I listened to it on the radio and then had to watch the replay just to see what happened with this home run, not a home run, everybody passing people on the base pass and end up, somebody's out. I mean, that was weird. Well, make the call for Christ's sake. I don't know what these umps were doing. No, you do it. No, you do it. No, you do it. What the hell we just watched? I mean, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I just, at least they didn't completely botch it and then say he was out because it wasn't even in his glove. But good Lord, I mean, that was weird. Cost Adam Duvall a home run. Should have been, a 3-run homer. Cost the Braves a run. But that you don't see that too much. You don't see those kind of mistakes. But the Braves still win comfortably 9-2. Freddie Freeman had 3 hits, including a bomb, and they and then Ozzie Albies made some history. 30 homers and 100 RBIs. First time a Braves second baseman has ever done that. So, but again, a comfortable win. Ian Anderson got it going, pitched 7 innings, got them deep in the game. So they got a chance for a 4-game sweep, and I think their magic number's 9 now. So they've got a chance to cut it to 8 and to keep the Phillies at bay.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to talk some Arkansas football. The Hogs are off to a great start, but is it a really great start? We'll dive down deeper into the numbers with Trey Biddy coming up next.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AB.
Never mind fall and football being in the air. We want to taste it.
And never mind not being able to tailgate at the game. Let's create the ultimate barbecue experience in your own backyard.
You said it, Foster Brooks, and that's where Brooks & Collier comes in. Big selection of outdoor furniture.
And a big selection of grills and smokers like Traeger, Big Green Egg, Blaze, even DCS, and more.
This is the good stuff.
And Paul, we definitely got the accessories. And remember, we deliver. Visit us at 813 Meridian Street and shop online at brooksandcollier.com.
Got a new wreck in Decatur now, 6th Avenue and Lee. That one's got about 3 vehicles involved. I don't think there's injuries there. Patton Road and Bayless did report with injuries, and they were trying to clear a wreck in Athens at Jefferson and Pryor. May still be working with that one. And we got a structure fire on Grimwood off Pulaski Pike. We've had fire equipment there all morning. You get 3 pieces of the crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We went over some of your headlines in the last segment, but as we mentioned in the first hour, it is your 2:30 CBS game, Arkansas, Texas A&M, from Jerry's World, there, Dallas Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, and the Arkansas Razorbacks, I guess, surprised plenty with their win over Texas a couple weeks ago, vaulted them into the top 25. They have reached highs this year that the program has not reached in a long, long time. But as good as that Texas win was, I think a statement win would be beating Texas A&M on Saturday.
No question about it. It's been remarkable what Sam Pittman's accomplished. And what they did against Texas. I wasn't surprised they won. I was surprised at the margin, but they dominated in the trenches. They reflect their coach. Their coach is a tough guy who believes in physical football and line play, and that's what he's been able to instill, and a belief in this team. And we're going to talk about it to end the show today with the editor and publisher of hogsports.com, Trey Biddy, who's been good enough to join us this morning. Trey, welcome back to the show, man. How are you?
Doing good, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I know it's a busy time. This is a huge challenge for the Hogs. As I said, I always enjoy your walk and talks each week. Last week was just a kind of a business trip. They take care of Georgia Southern, but this is a huge opportunity for Arkansas because I thought I called it cathartic, but I thought it really was cathartic for the fan base when they got that big win over Texas.
It was. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better atmosphere. I don't know if I've ever seen Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium rocking like that. I think part of it, excuse me, frog in my throat. I think part of it was just that everybody was so anxious to get back for a big time game like that, and then on top of it, being Texas, just all of that just kind of meshed together. And that it's been a while since everything's kind of come together for something like that, but it did in that one. And you mentioned the margin of victory. I think what was significant about that game also is there wasn't a lot of great games that weekend, week two, right. And especially not at night. That was the game, and everybody watched it. And I don't know if, it'd been a normal weekend where there's all these great matchups and stuff, if Arkansas would have just vaulted into the top 25. But since everybody saw it, and what they would have seen is that it was, 40-21 was the final score. Mm-hmm. It was not as close as that score. I mean, Arkansas got into the red zone 3 different times. Excuse me, I'll get over this. 3 different times, and settled for field goals. There was they took a knee, starting with about 2 minutes to go in the game, where they could have punched it in again. They just utterly dominated Texas in every aspect, and I saw a lot of 42-10 picks from Texas fans, and I didn't think I wasn't saying Arkansas is guaranteed to win this game, but I knew it wasn't going to be 42-10. I knew it would, if Texas won, it would be a battle because a lot of stuff has come together for Arkansas. Whether it's just so many players coming back from last year, returning 10 starters on defense, and having a lot of those guys getting beaten out, especially on the defensive line with some transfer additions they've had. They have a lot of pieces that have come together, and we didn't know how good Arkansas could be because we didn't know enough about KJ Jefferson, because he's a guy that can run the ball, and you can't really replicate that in practice, and that's kind of what I'd said all year. Arkansas will be good if KJ Jefferson's good, and if he's not, then they probably won't be. But you're right, this is a big opportunity for Arkansas in Arlington against Texas A&M. I'll be there tomorrow, heading down, and really looking forward to it. And to me, when you look at it, there are a lot of things that are kind of playing in Arkansas's favor in this one. Texas A&M's banged up here and there. They've got some newer offensive linemen. Haynes King is out for this one, who I think is a quarterback with a lot of promise. They've got some wide receiver injury issues also. And, Arkansas's got some things here and there, too, on the offensive line, but they've also got a lot of experience returning, including 7 players they feel really good about. So they do have 2 of their starters out. They should be able to shore that up pretty well. Not ideal, but I think they can absorb that a little bit better than Texas A&M can with a couple of their injuries.
If you're Arkansas and you manage to get a win over Texas and Texas A&M in the same season,
heaven.
What kind of? That would launch this program. Sam Pittman would really have to be the national story. Yeah, it'd be the national story, but he'd have to try to temper things for the first time forever. That would be monstrous for this program.
A great problem to have.
Yeah, it would be. You would be potentially looking at a top 10 matchup in Athens that for some reason is an 11 a.m. game. But if Arkansas won that one, then you're looking at a top 10 potential matchup in Athens the next weekend. And it's like I said, it's been a while. It seems like everything for Arkansas the last few years is just like the worst possible situation heading into this game. You lose a guy to injury, or it's just kind of been one thing after another. Now, last year was a resurgence. Obviously, they won 3 games and could have won 3 others. Really, they lost 3 others on kicks at the end of games, and of course, one of those was that Auburn game. So I think Arkansas was maybe a little undervalued last year because they did play the toughest schedule maybe in the history of college football last season. They've got it going on right now, the toughest schedule in college football right now. If you saw the 2022 schedule release, they've got the toughest schedule in college football next year. I don't know why this keeps happening, but this is, I guess, the life of the Razorbacks. So this is another tough one, number 7 or number 5, I guess, depending on what poll you look at, Texas A&M in Arlington. And it's kind of interesting way to ease into things, too, because Arkansas hasn't played away from home yet. They played, and I guess Texas A&M hasn't either. But this is an opportunity Texas A&M played in Boulder. But this is an opportunity for Arkansas to kind of ease into the road slate coming up, because you've got 3 straight weekends away from home, which really should never happen. This Arlington game really throws a wrench in things for Arkansas. But you got 3 straight road games coming up against Texas A&M. Well, not road, but it's away. It's a split crowd. But you can kind of ease into the next weekend at Georgia, because you have the split crowd. It's like, it's not an away game, but it's half and half, and a lot of these guys on this team haven't experienced a road environment yet. So I think it's kind of beneficial the way that falls on the schedule this year to kind of ease them into what's going to be a really hostile environment at Georgia. And luckily for Arkansas, that's an 11 o'clock game, not a 6 o'clock game.
Yeah, and we're talking to Trey Biddy, editor and publisher of hogsports.com. I guess, Trey, for the last few minutes, what I wanted to ask you is, with this Arkansas team and what you've seen thus far, what has really surprised you or pleased you offensively and defensively, and then what, on the flip side, going into the matchup with A&M, what's concerning?
Mm-hmm. Well, turn on the TV and watch the defense and watch how many Razorbacks are in the frame on each tackle.
Mm-hmm.
They really swarm to the football. They're, I think Gene Chizik said it's like synchronized swimming. Everybody knows they're fit. Everybody, it really is. These guys on defense can really fly to the football. I think Arkansas is exceptional in the back end. I think they've got one of the top secondaries in the SEC, and that's been due to recruiting. They brought in a lot of highly regarded guys, and they panned out. Jalen Catalon might be he literally might be the best defensive back in the SEC. Now, I think Monteric Brown at cornerback's got a pro future. The 3 defensive line transfers that they brought in, they wanted to add some depth on the defensive line. They had 2 of the 3 starters returning, and now all 3 of these guys are starting. So not only do they add depth, but they improve the position there. And I think John Ridgway is a guy, who has next level ability too. They brought him in for the transfer portal, 6'6", 320, and he has been wrecking people since he got here. He had an appendectomy the first week, but ever since then he's been really impressive. Of course, 3 linebackers that are really solid, led by Grant Morgan, who's a preseason All-American. And then on the other side of the ball, it's A.J. Jefferson, I think, is still getting, acclimated a little bit in terms of, throwing the ball. He will tend to be inaccurate from time to time, but his running ability, I think, is something that really scares some teams because he is 6'3", 245, and can just straight plow over people. I thought Sam Pittman made an excellent point against Texas. He kind of not targeted, you can't say that anymore, but he kind of went after the Texas A&M safety on a long run instead of, trying to avoid him, just to plow over him, just to kind of say, this is all day. And that's the kind of attitude that Jefferson has, and I think the team has kind of latched onto that. He's very physical, a big guy who can really move also. I mean, he's not just fast, but knows how to weave through traffic, and, he's got a lot of good qualities as a runner. So that's been a nice addition for Arkansas in terms of his running ability. He threw for 366 yards last weekend, something that Felipe Franks never did at Arkansas. And, they've got Traylon Burks at wide receiver who is capable of making a massive play at any moment, whether it's a catch and run or a jump ball. The offensive line, returns 5 starters from last year, 4 starters from 2019. It was a group that averaged 293 pounds per man in 2019, and now is 6'6", 317, again with 4 of the same guys. So they made a big emphasis on bulking those guys up, and it's paid off. Now they have some injuries. Ricky Stromberg, who I think will one day play on the next level at center, is out. But Ty Clary started 2 years at center for Arkansas, and recently he's been in a battle with Bo Limmer at right guard, and has recently moved over to center to fill in for Stromberg. But he can play. Saturday he played 3 different positions. He played guard, tackle, and center. So he's a veteran guy, a COVID senior, 6-year guy who he's a 5th-year guy, but he's a COVID senior. But he can play several spots on the offensive line. They've moved Brady Latham from starting left guard to right tackle, and he's been the backup swing tackle also, in addition to his guard duties. But he's been in a battle with Luke Jones at the left guard spot, so they moved Luke Jones up, and don't figure to have a huge drop off there. And then Bo Limmer had actually beaten out Ty Clary at right guard in the last game, so he remains at right guard there. So just a little bit of a shift there, and technically, you've got all guys that were really battling for starting jobs and viewed just about as good as the starters. So it's not ideal, but their depth on the offensive line has been a big benefit, especially heading into this one. And when you look at the matchups with Texas A&M, do you like Arkansas's offensive line versus Texas A&M's defensive line? I think that's an interesting battle right there because they're really solid. But when you flip it to the other side, Texas A&M's offensive line versus Arkansas's defensive line, I definitely like that matchup better.
No doubt.
And just looking at it too, who's the better quarterback? I mean, to me, going into this one, KJ Jefferson looks like the better quarterback, and that's always a big point of emphasis, or a big thing to watch anyway.
No doubt. Well, Trey, we appreciate it. Connect with hogsports.com. They're going to have blowout coverage of the biggest game of the weekend in the SEC. I appreciate the time as always, my friend.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Trey Biddy helping us wrap up our 2-hour extravaganza today. What a great show it was. We answered the question, is Alabama elite?
They will find out in the next 3 weeks, no doubt. But we appreciate Olin Buchanan, all the calls. Have a great rest of your Thursday.
Maybe the air doesn't blow like it should, or it's needing new tires, or you're just ready for something newer. It's time to move up, time to trade up. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and it's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your current car or truck is worth more than you know.